So could you please welcome him to the stage, Brian McClair. This guy here, correct me if I'm wrong, the only Scotsman to sign for 3 European Cup winning sides. Aston Villa, Celtic, Manchester United. So let's go back to your youth and getting signed up from Aston Villa. Brian, talk to us about that.
First of all, I wanted to say just about a couple of things you said before there, is that I'm glad that things are going really well with your podcast, but if you're going to be involved in video, then I'm not involved because I've got a face for radio. I ended up going to Aston Villa because they were really good to me. I'd been down for a number of times on trial. They asked me if I was interested in going down, and because they had said that they would help me to continue with my academic studies, because my parents were always encouraging and discouraging in the sense that they wanted me to play football, but they wanted me to get qualified as well, and they always gave me the encouraging news every week that you could break your leg tomorrow and that's your career over. That's what I got from the age of 11 all the way to 35, really. But Aston Villa made me feel the most comfortable, and the opportunity to study A-level maths when I was there. Didn't work out quite that way, but I had a good 14 months in Birmingham, where I was responsible for Aston Villa winning the league. I never played a single game for them, but Dennis Mortimer's boots were so clean, so sparkling, who was a captain, that it dazzled the opponent's eyes. So that was my claim to Aston Villa winning the title.
When you were down there, Brian, was there an opportunity at any point for you to get involved in the first team? Were you taken out on away days, etc., to give you some experience?
Well, there's a few things, because Aston Villa had a really good reserve team as well at the time, and the manager Ron Saunders always wanted to have practice matches 2 or 3 times a week, maybe only for 20 minutes. And he always play against the kids who were us, because he knew that the reserve team players would try and injure the first team players, because that was their only chance of getting into the team. So he couldn't afford the reserves to kick shit out of them. And we were too weak to try. We tried to kick them, but we were just too weak, So we played against them all the time. Yeah, Gordon Cowans, Dennis Mortimer, Alan Evans, Jimmy Rimmer. And Jimmy Rimmer also was used as his fodder after training, because there was no goalkeeping coaches in those days. He coached himself. He would get us to cross the ball in for him, and he'd come and catch and punch, and we had to jump into him, and he wanted us to really jump into him. But it also gave him the opportunity, when he wanted to punch the ball, they would punch you in the ear at the same time. So you learned an awful lot about the physical side of the game, that it was going to be tough, but still very enjoyable. So yeah, away trips. I went to Middlesbrough, and at those times there was only one sub, so there was 12 travelled. The manager, the coaching staff, a kit man, and me to help out with the kit. They lost that game 2-1. And the other trip I got to go on was incredible for me, because as a young boy, my English team was Manchester United, and I went to Old Trafford on a Wednesday night. Funnily enough, it was pissing down with rain, and it was a 3-8 game, an incredible experience. But I remember the 2 events, hoping that one of the players would fall down the stairs or get food poisoning or something like that, so that I would get on the bench as last minute kind of thing, but never happened. I had a terrible career, really. So.
Brian, when I speak to people from your era, they do talk fondly of the education that they had within the reserve team, because you were up against experienced guys coming back from injury, etc. And you've now got the experience when you worked with the SFA of academies, and until recently there was no reserve league. Did you think that was a massive loss to Scottish football when we done away with the reserves and it was youths against youths?
I think that it's great that how much information that young players can get now with how to improve in the practice times and the facilities that are available for them to practice. But when I was taking the reserves at Manchester United, when I was getting phone calls with regards to the players from other clubs who were interested in taking any of those players on loan, the first question they ever asked about any of the players was, what are they like at playing against men? And when you're going through academy football, you're playing same age all the way through, and it's 1 year we had to put a team into what was called the Pontins League, which was in the Football League, and all their reserve teams were made out of players coming back from injuries or players who couldn't quite get into the first team, and a lot of experienced players. I remember going to take a team to Chesterfield, and they had a team of adults playing, and we had a very young team playing. They're a really big, thuggish centre forward who was playing directly against Gerard Piqué, and for the first 25 minutes he battered Gerard all over the place. Late tackles, elbowing, dark arts, pulling his nipples, all sorts of stuff, you know. And Gerard gave him great credit, stuck at it, and when the centre forward got tired, Gerard does what he does very well now for Barcelona, would take the ball and just run past them and run into midfield and start playing, and I think we beat them 6-1. At the end of the game, the centre half went up to Gerard Piqué, shook his hand and said, "Well done, son, that was magnificent. Not many people would have put up with that kind of abuse, so I apologise for putting you through that." But it was a great experience for him. And after those games, we had more calls about, can we take this player, can we take that player, some of whom we were going to let go at the end of the season, because the managers who'd been to those games could see that they'd played against men like that big galoot that Piqué had to overcome. So for me, the end of your education in football should be with senior players. I suggested that the Reserve League should have a reserve teams in Scotland, every single one, to play in it. You should sign 4 senior players right at the end of their career. So you might be helping them with their continued coaching aspirations. They may well have always wanted to play for Celtic or Rangers or Aberdeen, Hibs, Hearts, Dundee United, but they've never been able to do that. But now they're going to be able to play for the reserves. They're never going to play for the first team. So there will be a goalkeeper, a centre half, a midfield player, and maybe a forward. And what they do as well is they coach the players for you during the day, particularly if you get them that are good pros who have just gone through their life trying to do the right thing all the time and didn't just quite been able to do, but give you good information and show good examples. And if needed to be, they could take them somewhere that these young players could lose their virginity.
Are you a big fan of Celtic Colts going into the bottom league of the Scottish?
I've said, that's what I've said all along. I think that for the benefit of football, and I said it in the same in England as well, and they just got shot down by people saying, no, that's not the right quality, not the right quality of pitches, not the right quality of opposition. And some of these were ex-players too, and mine is really about the tooth parts. Can they overcome the physical part of it? Can they overcome different plays, different styles, different hostilities? And they might need these other clubs might need those players, because they're not all going to play at the very highest level, and it gives them a great chance to be able to say, well, yeah, he played and he played, and we can take. There's not enough managers are taking. Everybody seems to be wanting a ready-made player to be successful. Well, we'll just stick with the senior players. Stick with senior players. If you keep doing that, soon there'll be no senior players left, and there'll be nothing in the lower echelons of football, particularly in Scotland. You need to give everybody that you ask any professional football player, and those, when did you play? What happened? What were the circumstances? And nearly every single one of them was the same thing. Somebody was injured, somebody was suspended, somebody was ill, somebody was out of favour. Or I kicked this player the day before, and the manager really liked. I went in and I seized the opportunity. If you don't give them that, then you just keep picking older senior players, and they need to keep refreshing it, let them play. And a lot of the times they surprise you. So those class of 92, they've gone on to be multimillionaires and hugely successful after their football careers. Some of them surprised you. I trained with David Beckham in the gym and with the reserves. And for me, all he wanted to do is play what's called a Hollywood pass. He'd get the ball on the right-hand side of the park, and he would whiz it 60, 70 yards to the left-hand side of the park towards the left winger, who A, couldn't run, B, couldn't control the ball. So it went out, and I used to go, for fuck's sake, what are you doing? That's just all the time. Now, I couldn't see a player in David Beckham. I thought he was fucking hopeless. So they surprised you, right? That was just my view of what I saw at that time. So, but they'll surprise you. Yes, I could see Paul Scholes. Yes, I could see what Nicky Butt had. David, not if he just kept... And he just used to stand and watch it as well. Watch, oh, I like that. Look, that's a lovely pass, isn't it? But this time I'd been running from my own box to that other, watching, this is fucking nonsense. Just give it to somebody. So I had only had one trick when I was playing football, and it used to be that I tried to get the ball and pass it to somebody with the same colour of shirt. And then they would move to another part of the field, maybe in another wee space, where they could maybe give me it back. And then and by that, I would try to work my way up towards the goals. And then maybe I'd be there when the ball came in from either side, and the ball, a lot of the times for me, ended up in the goals. That was my trick. And I've tried to teach that trick.
How did you end up coming to Motherwell then?
Great leaving school at 16, going into a man's world and an adult world where they just treated you as an adult. And right away what happened to me, the guy who wanted me to sign for Aston Villa, he fucked off and went to a better paid job at Leicester. No. It's just popped out of my head there as well. And that's true, he did. He promised me the world and he fucked off to Leicester. So it became clearly evident the coach didn't like me, and that's what happens sometimes. If he didn't fancy me, he didn't really want me to sign, so I didn't play that often. Although when I did play, we did win my first ever sort of trophy in kind of football post-school, and that was a world-famous tournament called the Southern Junior Floodlit Cup. Funnily enough, it was played during the week at night. But we won that. I don't remember much about it, but I know we won that because I've got a photograph somewhere. And I came back for pre-season training, and I'd applied to go to university just I don't know, to do something to do. So I filled in application forms and I got accepted for both Strathclyde and Glasgow. And I don't know how anybody else found out about this, because not many footballers or football managers, in my experience, knew what university was or could read, you know. So I got called in after pre-season. First week of pre-season, I called at Ron Saunders' office on my own. What was I, 17 I think I was then, to be told, you can fuck off to uni. No good morning, whatever. It's just, you can go, you fuck off to uni, go and pack your bags. And I went back to the digs that day, packed my bags, and I got the train back to Scotland. But I knew that some scout had been a friend that was a scout at Motherwell, and I went along one day. They were playing at Broomfield in Airdrie in the Lanarkshire Cup. Davie Hay was assistant to Ali MacLeod, invited me along to training that Monday, because we were playing Airdrie on the Saturday. That Monday I went into training. On the Monday after training, Ali MacLeod said, I want to sign you and play you in the first team tomorrow, which was like an incredible thing for me. I'd just been booted out of Aston Villa, and Ali MacLeod wanted to sign me and play me in the team after one training session. I'm not sure if he was the wisest of people, but it was a great boost for me. And so I agreed to sign. Didn't sign right away, because I had said that another friend who was a Celtic scout said, look, just tell them I'm back if they want to have a look or whatever. And the main scout at that time says, no, we need to see him playing or something like that. I said, I can't wait for that. This is an amazing offer for me. He wants me to play in the first team at Motherwell part-time. It suited me as well because I was going to university. And so I signed for Motherwell, and Alan MacLeod was brilliant. He offered me a certain amount of money. I said, well, if you give me that amount of money, they'll cut my grant, because I was on almost the maximum amount grant you could get then, when they used to give you money to go to get educated rather than get you to pay for it, which is what I've spent all my money on, by the way, the paying for education. But the 3 children seem quite pleased about it, They've all got good jobs. They don't talk to me, but they've all got good jobs. So Alan MacLeod gave me, to my complete astonishment, he gave me more money. I thought, this is great, So I was like, I was going to university, full grant nearly, and 50 quid a week for playing part-time football. But then Davie Hay took over, and I don't think Davie Hay was his favourite player. I don't know why, but I got dropped, and they never lost the game for 20 games. So, and then I got back in at the end of that season, scored a couple of goals, and then Davie left for a better paid job in America.
Davie Hay will come back into the story later on, Brian. But see, when you went to Motherwell, what was the...
He's not coming, is he?
No, he's not here today. Who were the experienced guys at Motherwell then who maybe helped you along as a young guy?
People there. It was a great place to be, because I had been involved in being in the dressing rooms as a kind of invisible person at Aston Villa, listening to their banter, because I had to clean the dressing room as part of my roles and responsibilities. And being in that dressing room in the pre-season that I joined there, you had Hugh Sproat, the goalkeeper from Ayrshire, completely nuts, completely mad. But Shuggy had this kind of thing where he would swing on the bar when the ball was at the other side of the pitch. Motherwell would be attacking, you turn and look, and he's got his legs dangled over the bar, swinging back and forward from it, to kind of entertain himself, and he'd get off when the ball came down the other side. But when we got into the Premier League, he would wear a blue top against Celtic, and he'd wear a green top against Rangers. Completely mental he was. You had Brian McLaughlin, who had been as a Celtic player, terrific football player, great character, taught me a lot about laughing and joking. Alfie Conn, who'd played for both Celtic and Rangers, Scotland, Tottenham, he was another big influence. Joe Wark, who'd been there as the longest serving player, full of characters. It was a great place to be. I mean, it's so you could right away. I understood that nothing was irreverent, because we used to have a Church of Scotland minister who would come into the dressing room, and he would come in and get changed in the morning, and they would take the piss out of him, because all he'd do was jog around the pitch. So, and they would actually be like hammering them, for can't even, those legs, drain pipes, drink. But then he'd join in and all that. Go, he's a minister. He shouldn't be saying things like that. He didn't actually swear, but they were swearing at him, particularly people like Brian McLaughlin and that. It was a great environment to be involved in. So, great influences for me. So,
Brian McLaughlin, for anyone who is unaware of him, and I know there are people in the room who will be well aware of who Brian McLaughlin was. Brian McLaughlin, the first, signed by Jock Stein, made his debut for Celtic at 16 and had a horrific knee injury at the age of 18, and apparently was never quite the same after that. So Brian would have played with him when he was a wee bit more experienced, and obviously Davie Hay was a teammate of Brian's when they were at Celtic. But the story that I've heard is that Jock Stein rated Brian McLaughlin as his greatest ever signing. He made his debut before any of the Quality Street kids in terms of age, and probably before any of the Lisbon Lions. I think the youngest Lion was maybe 17. Brian was 16 playing for the Celtic first team. Incredible. By the time you played with him, Brian, could you still see that gift that this man had? Yeah,
he was a really good player. He just couldn't. He didn't have that mobility, and that's why he was at Motherwell and not starting for Celtic. But he was a very good, gifted, very, very good player, intelligent player, and he was a really good and positive influence on me. If it was for the banter and the quickness of his wit alone.
Davie Hay would have been in his early 30s at that point, because he retired early with an eye injury. and he took over at Motherwell. Brian, what was it about Davie that he didn't quite fancy you as a player, or was it just your luck that when you were out the team, Motherwell kept winning?
Well, they weren't winning when I was in the team, so he just, I don't know, he was right, isn't he? So I'm maybe because I was part-time, I don't know. But he picked a team that went on to a 20 league match unbeaten run, and Motherwell won the Scottish First Division Championship that year and got promoted to the Premier League. I made enough appearances throughout that to get a medal. So it still ended up as a satisfying time for me. I came in for the last, I think, 4 games, and I managed to score maybe 2 or 3 goals. I remember my very first goal in senior football was at East Stirling. And East Stirling had always kind of fascinated me as a kid because it was a kind of race between them and Albion Rovers, who had the least amount of people that went to watch them. You know, it'd be like 126 people. And anyway, I ended up playing at East Stirling, and I scored a goal. And then I also remember scoring a goal down at Queen of the South as well, who are celebrating their 100th anniversary this month, I believe. So I think it was all downhill from there, really. You know, so
it was Big Billy that signed you for Celtic. How did you hear of the interest, Brian? And you know, we are of a Celtic state of mind. Was that the team for you in terms of Scottish football? Celtic.
Yeah, it was. But my mother wouldn't let me go on the train. She thought it was too dangerous, so I wasn't allowed to go to the games. And my old man was working 12-hour shifts, so there wasn't anybody to take me. But I had been to games. I went to see Celtic, a midweek game playing in the Republic of China a number of years ago. And the first game I saw, I think they beat Clyde 5-0. I think Harry Hood scored a hat-trick. I'd been in Mexico with Scotland for the 19 World Cup, and I'd come back, and there'd been a phone call from Jock Wallace, who was the manager of Motherwell, who had also been the manager of Leicester. He left Rangers to go to Leicester for more money. Fucking hell, Leicester keeps popping up a lot in this conversation. He'd phoned the house, and there was a phone call, and my brother had answered the phone. He thought it was me, and he'd had a conversation with my brother, which my brother couldn't understand a fucking word he'd said, apart from when he realised it wasn't. Tell him to fucking phone me. So I got the message, I have to phone the manager. So I pick up the phone, and it takes ages because you had to dial the numbers and wait for it to come back. Zzz. Zzz. Even with 7 numbers. And then he answered the phone right away. I sold you. Get your ass over here. Put the phone down. My mum said, what was that? He said he sold me. What? He sold me. I've got to go over. So I went over, and you got to go. Where am I going? Sold you to Celtic. Big Billy's waiting for you. You got to go. What? Just fuck off to Celtic, will you? Forget all this fucking education, malarkey, fucking load of pish. Just go to Celtic. So, Big Billy's waiting for you. So I jumped into my lime green Morris Marina. I did. That was a car I had, lime green Morris Marina. And I drove to Celtic Park, where indeed Big Billy was waiting for me. And Jock could give me a piece of advice to say to Billy. And so Billy came in and said, look, you want to sign for Celtic, we want to give you a 4-year contract, we're going to give you this amount of money a week, and we're going to give you some money to sign. And in the office, I think this trick came from Matt Busby, was that Billy obviously was taller than I am, but the seat that he was sitting in was higher above. It was like a bit like a throne, so it's like Hail Caesar kind of thing. So he's sitting in a bigger chair, and I'm sitting in one that feels as if the legs have been cut off. So I'm kind of like, my eyes are like kind of the height of the desk, and he's like, I'm talking to him up there, he's up there, and I'm down here. And he had this kind of wee thing, we'll give you £238 a week. I'm like, £238 a week? Amazing. I was trying to compute what I could buy right away, 238 quid, and we'll give you some money. And I said to him, no, I would like that. And he slunk down into the chair. I can see his eyes, my eyes level now. That's how far he slid down in this chair. And he goes, you're a greedy wee boy. I says, where do I sign?
Bolly was there, then he wasn't there, and your old
He
pal...
didn't go to Leicester, though.
He didn't go to Leicester. He went to
Unless he did go to Leicester.
No, he went to Man City.
He went to City, yeah. No, he took City down, though, didn't he? The only man to take two teams down in the one season, I think. Villa and City got relegated. If that's half correct or whatever.
Bolly left, and your old pal Davie Hay...
I know, fucking brilliant.
Walks through the door.
That's yeah, I know, somebody that wants me. Somebody wanted me because he told me he wanted me and he'd given me a contract, and then he left, and then somebody that I had the impression that he didn't want me got the job. And also, he fuck it. When I was second season, Motherwell, Jock Wallace, and Jock brought Frank Connor with him. And Jock would shout in my left ear, and Frank would shout in my right ear. I fucking hated the pair of them, you know. And I thought it was brilliant, got away from those two fucking lunatics, right? Well, I thought they were lunatics. What they were doing, they were trying to help me, because at 17 I knew everything. I did at 17, I did. I know fuck all now, but I did at 17. And they recognised that, and they were trying to beat this. I mean, I just resisted and resisted, because I was awkward. I'm still awkward, but I was pretty awkward then. And get rid of those two. Fucking brilliant. Billy, I didn't know who was with Billy anyway, but does Davie Hay not come back? And who does he bring? Fucking Frank Connor. I think I had like 2 days of ecstasy of signing for Celtic, 4 years. I can go back to uni. I think my body will decay quicker than my brain. 4 years at Celtic. Oh, absolutely brilliant. Oh, for fuck's sake. What have I done wrong?
You started a few games under Davie Hay, though, eh?
I didn't start the first game. I was in the reserves. Right away.
You scored your
reserves. I didn't tell you that, because we went on pre-season tour to Switzerland, and it was really, really, really hot. I mean, it was 90 degrees in the shade. We didn't do a lot of training. We played one of the games against Bal, who changed their name quite significantly to Basel. See, apparently it was called Bal then, and that's where I got chocolate from, because they had a big terrace in it behind one of the goals, roasting afternoon. There was nobody there, and over the top of the terrace come two Celtic supporters dressed, and I'm telling you, it's 90 degrees in the shade. They're dressed top to toe in Celtic gear, tracksuit, coat, scarf, hat, a lot. Come over this thing, just the two of them there. On you go, the chocolate McClair. Tommy Burns like that. What was that? I said, it was nothing, Tommy. I think it was. No, Tommy, you're all right. He said chocolate. Chocolate. It's chocolate McClair. You're having it. No, you're all right, Tommy. I don't give a fuck what you think. You're having it. And that was it. So I was like, Tommy Burns just made sure that was it, because he just kept calling me that all the time and referencing various types of chocolate for the next 5 or 6 days. Came back and I thought I'd done quite well. Played a lot of games, scored some goals. And in those days, which I've always gone against, was that I think Frank would come in and put up 2 sheets of paper, and that was the squad for the games. And at that time, the reserves played on the Saturday at 2 o'clock, and the first team played at 3 o'clock. So you up to everybody, even the senior players, Danny McGrain, Tommy Burns, Roy Aitken, and that. They'd be up there looking, see if your name's on it and all that, and they'll go like that. And I'm looking, I'm going, Frank, there's a mistake. What is it? I'm not on this one. No. Oh, for fuck's sake, I'm on this one. Reserves, 2 o'clock, report, 12:30 the next day. Anyway, so they went to play Hibs at Easter Road, and I played against Hibs reserves on the Saturday. Scored twice or something.
So moving to a new club, Brian, I've spoken to you before because you very helpfully spoke to me about Neely Mockin, Neely being at that stage the kit man at Celtic Park. You said that you knew everything, but did you take your own boots to Celtic Park, or did you have to be one of these guys that asked Neely for a new pair of boots?
No, I had a pair of boots, but quite rightly, as the new kid on the block, as when people used to go to work, certainly when my old man was going to work, the first day's work as apprentice, people would send you to the store and ask for a long stand or a tin of tartan paint. So mine was the kind of piss-taking thing for me was ask Neely for a pair of boots, and I was naive as fuck, right? So, all right, you know. So I liked football boots. I'd been at Aston Villa. I knew what Puma King were. I knew what Penarol were. I knew what Adidas World Cup were. I knew what the best boots were because I'd cleaned them every day. I spat on them and I polished them, so I knew exactly. And Gordon Counts had these amazing Italian things that were like, they were the best leather ever. But Celtic was sponsored by Adidas, so I'm like, World Cup, 78, magnificent boot. So they'd all primed me, probably Tommy Burns in particular, who was the biggest joker in the dressing room. So they're all waiting for Neely to come in to do this, and he's probably in it as well. Go and ask that young lad that's just saying, we'll get him. Hi son, how you doing? Nice to meet you, I'm Neely. And I knew he'd played for Celtic, I knew about the 7-1 and all that, and I knew that he'd been doing. And he said, hi son, you'll need a pair of boots. I says, aye, Mr. Mockin, I would need a pair of boots. What kind of boots you want, son? I said, I'll have Adidas World Cup. He's talking to this place. What about him? Adidas World Cup. He's been here a day. What's it you're wearing, Danny? Oh, you got Adidas World Cup? No. Aye. I'm like, I was like that size. I never asked him for a pair of boots after that. But the next day he came in and he gave me a pair of Adidas World Cup. So I was humiliated the day before, but it taught me a lesson to not rise above my station right away. So it was very valuable from that point of view, and he continued that all the way through. And then I quite enjoyed waiting for the next person who came in that was new to get the same thing. And it didn't matter whether you'd come in from the reserve team dressing room. After the next game, at Dundee, we beat them 6-2, scored 4 goals.
That's right.
And then I went away and got dropped. I'm like, what do I have to do? Away, European game away, on the bench.
That European away would have
Big
been Sporting Lisbon, eh? Would have been European.
No, it was our house, I think, I think it was our house. I dropped or our house.
You did make your first European start for Celtic against Sporting Lisbon in the home leg.
Yeah.
So you made your start at Celtic Park, 2-0 down for the first leg.
Aye, 2-0 down. I was on the bench in the game in Lisbon, and I'll tell you what, it was one hiding 2-0. I'll tell you, it could have been 6 or 7 over there. Aye, and there's no funny things that pop into my head all the time. And you could just refresh things. We used to go down to at the time we'd always go to Seamill on the coast to prepare for big games. So it's quite clear that we're going for the European game. And it always used to surprise me. We'd train on the lawn at Seamill, a wee tiny bit of grass that somebody had spent ages manicuring, yet we were allowed to fucking destroy it. And it was tiny, and we had like the whole session on this tiny bit with the sea in the background and all that. It's quite an interesting experience. But I remember going up in the bus. Graham Sinclair, who was at Celtic at the time, Graham hated football, probably still hates football. It was just a way of making money, and he got out of football as quick as he could to become a news agent, and I think he's done quite well at that. But when he was at Celtic, he started up the Footballers Against Football Society, of which there was one member, but he bullied Mark Reid into becoming another member. Even though Mark wasn't the same view, he just bullied them into it. So the 2 members, and they would go on about this every day. Footballers Against Football are here today. But I remember on the way up again, footballers being that sort of funny, dark sense of humour. We're on our way up to the bus, and I know I'm playing, and I'm nervous. and Sinky comes up and goes, and I'm thinking he's going to be encouraging. He goes, "No fucking pressure on you tonight, eh? Glad I'm not playing." I was like, thanks for that, you know. Like, so not only am I thinking about it, I've got him fucking chomping away in my ear. Hope you fail, you know. I want us to go out because I don't want to be going anywhere else in this competition. I hate being away. I hate football. I don't want to do any more travelling. So that was my trip up from the Ayrshire coast. And it came out, it was one of those incredible nights, wasn't there? There was 100,000, 39,000 crowd. Well, there was 100,000 people there, but the crowd was 39. It's just amazing me that you know, can't get any more people in here. 39 instead of 70,000 capacity. Where did you put the other ones? Where did you fit them in? 39. And it was just an incredible night. 3-0, we'd wiped out their 2-0 deficit early on and 3-0 at half time, and they gave up really. They just really gave up. They capitulated and went out to ended up winning 5-0. And as a first experience as a starting player in a European tie, I couldn't have chosen a better event really, and a better memory for lots of people.
See, when you look back there, you know,
maybe not for Graham Sinclair, but
we were brought up with Celtic. It was a tradition that they would go to Seamill Hydro. I think probably Jockstein started it. Maybe some of the older group could tell me if they'd done it before then. And we did it through your time at the club as well, Brian. Was that really just a means of getting all the married guys away from the wife and the kids, getting people away from guys asking them for tickets? Was it that kind of preparation?
I think that also as well was the saying that, look, this is a different game, and we're going to prepare differently for it, and there's a different mentality about what you're doing. And it was always, it would always be the case, particularly the ones that they've got who have had kids and maybe could get a bit of a better rest. Although I'm not so sure that applied to Davie Provan, because he had Frank McGarvey as his roommate, and Frank wouldn't fucking shut up. I think he talked in his sleep. The same garbage he talked when he was awake. Well, really funny, Frank. I mean, we did a thing saying with Frank, and I hadn't been with Frank since he left in '85 or whatever it was. But he used to come out with some things that were hilarious. I don't think he knew they were hilarious, but they were hilarious. And then when we did the event, he was brilliant at it. You know, he was just, his stories were really, really good and really funny. You know, but I still don't think he realised he was being funny. But it was highly entertaining, free night out for me. So if you ever want to be entertained, he's usually in the Lauriston. Showing you videos of the cup final in '85. No, I know that because I've seen him doing it.
We always like to think of ourselves, Brian, as a massive club, and we are a massive club.
Yeah.
You'd been at Villa, who obviously are huge. They're a huge fan base down there. You then gone to Motherwell. When you came to Celtic, did you realise the size of that? I mean, you're obviously, overnight you become recognised when you're walking down the street. Did you realise that you were at a huge club here, who at that stage we still probably had aspirations in the early 80s to do something on a European level? Of
course, and we did reasonably well. You consider it. I mean, we could have gone further when we had lost the game to Forest after having a really good result, 0-0 away. But yeah, we had some decent results. Then you also had the experience of the Rapid Vienna scenario, and I suppose it was the first time you find out that the Austrians were a bunch of cheating bastards, and that UEFA were full of corrupt bastards, and then that was evident to me all the way through that scenario. Also, it gave us a chance to go into a nuclear cloud, because we went to Kiev not long after Chernobyl, so that was another. At the moment, I haven't grown any other fingers or toes, and my children all appear to be quite healthy. You know, none of them have got 11 or 12 fingers and toes. But you look at these things as an incredible, for me, things to do, because we were told that it was safe to go to Kiev But when we went there and we were talking to some of these people who could speak English or whatever, they had completely. You get these. Most people, not a lot of people now are obsessed with their patios, and they've got jet washers, Kirchers, and all these other B&Q, and you go out for hours and hours and jet wash your patio, and the next day it's all green again, and then you jet wash it again. It's great fun. You should get one. Get a patio first of all, or you could just go out and just do the pavement outside. But they had sandblasted. They had done that to the whole city in a kind of huge thing. So all the dust that had come out of Chernobyl and the rain and all that kind of thing, they had washed it all away. And I was saying to them, right, well, if it's so safe in this city, where are all the children? Oh, they're in Moscow. Why is that? Because it's not fucking safe for them. I was only, I didn't have any children at the time, so I was thinking about, I might not be able to have any children now. I'm going to be radioactive. So I tried my best to not go, but we ended up going, and it was a great experience there because it was, you saw how poor these people were and what they were buying and what they were. I mean, there was no plugs for the sink. You had to go to the shop and buy a plug. Little things that we all take for granted, And you go along and there was a shop. They had a big cabinet full of different sizes plugs. Which size you want? I don't know. It's a plug. It's like, and it was to save the water and everything else they need to get. And it was a real eye-opening scenario when you see all these people queuing for meat that you wouldn't have given the dog. But there wasn't any dogs in Kiev either, so it didn't matter. So they'd all been shipped out to Moscow as well.
That Dynamo Kiev team were a crap.
They were shit. They were crap. Mikhailichenko, Kunetsov, blocking. He was poor. Him.
They had just won the Cup Winners' Cup the year previously, and they were being touted as dark horses for the European Cup that season. Celtic, what was the score in the first game? Was it?
I think 1 each. I think we got
1 each,
and we were lucky to get away with 3-0 over there. 3-1 over there. Was it Martin McGee scored? Martin McGee got stupid things you remember again. Martin McGee got man of the match from whoever the sponsors were in Kiev, and he got a samovar, which is a giant kettle. No, it was a really lovely thing. I mean, it was like. But it was like 3 foot tall. And we're going, how are we going to get that back? I don't know. And he was like, we can't really leave it because they might not let us out of the country because we've offended them. So I don't know what he did. Maybe he carried it. He was a giant kettle. But probably worth a few quid now, so I'm only asking if you still got it. But samovar.
The story I was told, and I'm sorry to use this guy's name, but Maurice Johnston, prior to going over to Kiev, Brian, there was obvious risks with regards to diet and that kind of thing, and Dr. Fitzsimmons, who was the son of the old doc, had been going round the rooms checking on the players maybe the night before the game, and it comes to Mo Jones. He wasn't your roommate, was he?
I roomed with Morris once when I was in Scotland under 21s, but we were both at different clubs at the time, so right. He couldn't understand because I was at uni there, so he must have been at Motherwell. Yeah, so I was studying for some statistics or maths exam, and he was like completely befuddled. That anybody outside primary school had a book.
Well, that takes us on nicely to this story. So the Celtic players had been advised about diet, etc., and Dr. Fitzsimmons goes into Maurice Johnston's room where he's got a suitcase on the bed, and he says to him, do you want any water pills, you want this, you want that? No, it's fine, I brought my own food. And he opened the suitcase, it was full of Mars bars. Maurice Johnston, and because he was told not to eat when you're in Kiev, so he took a suitcase full of Mars bars to Kiev with him. That's how thick he was. So when you think back to Maurice,
I think I don't remember ever getting a Mars bar, so I think he was a greedy bastard then. Carrying a whole suitcase of Mars bars all over there. That's a terrible thing to do. He didn't go to Leicester, did he?
Oh, worse. When fans look back to that time, Brian, Morris Johnson seemed to, at that time, he was idolised, he was a fan's favourite. But anybody that watched the game thought, well, actually, Brian McClair's doing all the work and scoring more goals. Was that something that bothered you? Were you even aware of it?
No, because my whole idea of playing football was to go along, play the game, enjoy the support, and jump on the bus and get the bus back. That was I had no kind of thing about, like, I needed to be loved, because I've always the view for me is quite simple. People work hard to earn enough money to go to football games, still do now, paying a hell of a lot more money now to go and watch it. And if they want to shout and scream or sing and laugh and joke, then they should be allowed to do that. Because my feeling is that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that I would much rather be on that green bit than be where you are. So that's how I've kind of, so please just vent your spleen at me, because I'm quite happy to be here. And then Mo was a different type of person, different type of character. You know, he was single. I was married. I had a young child, so he was a decent enough lad and all that kind of thing. Although he never used to have a bath.
Ferguson was coming through as a kind of emerging manager at that stage at Aberdeen, and he played a big part in your career later on. Did you ever have any kind of dealings with Ferguson at that time? Was he ever interested in you as a player when he was at Aberdeen?
No. I had an eventful event. Because I'd scored a few goals and been top goal scorer, they used to invite the top league scorer in each country in Europe to the Adidas Golden Boot Awards. The first year I went to Paris, and they had an Adidas that didn't scrimp. They put on a great party, and we went to the Folie Bergère, and it was like incredible for me. I was like, Paris, this amazing show, semi-naked women. No, that wasn't important, that part. And then we got kicked out because we have 2 shows a day, so we were there in the afternoon, got kicked out, and then that was it, finished. But I just wandered up and down the Seine, as you do, because I didn't have any money. So, and then the next time I went, it was in the Principality of Monaco. So as soon as that, so I don't know whether I was driven as part of this idea that it was going to be there to try and score more goals. I don't think it was a greedy player, but I did end up getting the chance. So I was top goal scorer, going to go to Monte Carlo, Monaco, and all I can think about was James Bond films and other films of that ilk in the casino in Monte Carlo, and I've got £100, and I'm going to go to the casino, £100 red. £100 red. I've just got this in my head. That's all I'm going for. I've got £100 in my pocket. After the 2, I'm going to walk in. Billy, big bollocks. £100 on red. Win, lose, I'm going to take it. And then I'm going to go back to the hotel. Again, an incredible event. Got lots of nice gifts from Adidas. And the casino's set across the road, so I can see the casino, and of course, £100 red, £100 red, £100 red. Brilliant! What a story to tell. Even if I never play football ever again, James Bond, shaken not stirred, £100 red. And as I come out, before that, sorry, I'd just managed to catch the plane from Manchester to Nice, and Alex Ferguson was on the plane with a load of prominent English journalists. Got to the hotel, lovely hotel, and they said, "What are you doing?" "I don't have any plans." "Come down for lunch with us." So I went down, had lunch, and they said, "Would you like a drink?" And I said, "Well, I don't know." And they were drinking bottles of Beck's, and I don't think I'd ever seen a bottle of beer before. It was just Tennent's. I thought that was all there was. Or McEwan's, and it came out of this thing at the back of the bar. Bottles, never seen them apart from American films. So I said, "I'll have a bottle of that." They were drinking Beck's, funnily enough. And he comes down, Fergie, never met him before, sits down, he's blah, 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 blah. He goes, "Do you know what I hate about football players?" I was like, "No idea." "Fucking that." Just as he says fucking that, I go, "All right." Put it back down. I thought, "You're not my manager." And that was my first experience. So I had a few more Becks. He was drinking Campari and soda. because he thought he wasn't a drinker then, so he drank Campari and soda. It's one of the most I tried it once. Oh God, it's disgusting. Makes Buckfast look like a cocktail. So anyway, at the end of the event, he goes, "Where are you going?" I'm going, £100 red. What? Casino. Dump my bags. And what they gave us as well, I got a money clip. A Gucci money clip was one of the prizes. That was straight on the £100. I've got a Gucci money clip, and inside I've got £100. I think the money clip was worth more than £100, but I think this is brilliant. I can take it out of this money clips, even classier. Take it out of my pocket, money clip, £100 red. I've got all this played out in my head. Where are you going? Casino, £100 red. No, you're not. Eh? Who the fuck are you? You're not my manager. You're no going. Right, very good. So went back to the hotel, went up to the room, got the same thing. Ready to go, looking in the mirror. £100 red. And I went to bed. No, I went to the casino, went to bed. And I had no idea why I went to bed, because he wasn't my manager. I kept saying, he's not my manager, but I went to bed. And then that was compounded by the fact the next day I found out that he'd gone to the casino. Had a fucking great time. I didn't have a book, I didn't have a comic, I didn't have any music. I just sat there like that. I'm in Monte Carlo in a hotel room, looking up at the ceiling thinking, what the fuck are you doing? And I stayed in bed. And I told that story at his 25th anniversary dinner, and I said to him, if I hadn't gone to bed, I wouldn't be here, would I? He went, no. So it was a test for me, even though that I wasn't one of his players. I think that if I had gone to the casino, I wouldn't have. He would never have signed me at Man United. So, was it a good thing? Was it a bad thing? Probably a bad thing. I should have went to the casino.
You still got the money clip?
I have, somewhere. I haven't got the £100 no again.
That was my next question.
I bought nappies with that when I got back. They were more important than the £100 red, but
it's interesting though that he was testing you even though you weren't his player. He might have fancied you at that time, Brian. But before you left Celtic, after the 85 Cup final, we had a memorable season. Love Street 86, Brian. It's one of the moments as a Celtic fan you look back on as almost fairy tale, like we were never going to win that. What's the team talk at Love Street that day from Davie Hay? You all know what you need to do, but I mean, how? Or are you looking at guys like Tommy Burns, Danny McGray and Roy Aitken?
No, I think that the fact that we had gone on a winning run. So for me, the time that I thought, whoa, we've got a right good chance, was we went to Pittodrie and beat Aberdeen 1-0. The other guy you're talking about, he scored the winning goal, and we'd never, again, like talking about Dundee United, we never really did that great at Pittodrie either, you know. So that for me, winning there was like, well, I think we could kind of do this now. And then I think that Hearts drew a game, which then left it going down to the last game of the season, where we had to win by 2 clear goals, and they just had to lose. And we were like, well, we were just going to go into the game and just play, and we were really confident because we'd been playing really well. So then Davie Hay was a man of very, very few words. So he probably just named the team and said, it's up to you now. That would have been it. And we were confident enough that we were, and we knew that there was going to be a great support, because you go out for warm up and it's heaving already. And I say we were pretty buoyant, and you just had that feeling that it was going to be tough for Dundee, because people don't remember at the time that Dundee had a chance to qualify for Europe that year, so they had something to play for as well. It wasn't just a dead rubber for them. It certainly wasn't for Albert Kidd, was it, being a Celtic fan, you know? So I wish I could get one of those T-shirts so that they all printed for the Hearts thing. That'd be good.
What was your thought playing at Love Street that day? The Celtic end went mental after one goalkeeper named Jim Kennedy.
Jim Stewart, who had played for Rangers, had the ball in his hands, and it erupts behind the goals and then all down the side. And he's like, I've never been applauded or cheered for catching the ball before. and he was completely bemused. I've met Jim Sussman, he's a cracking guy. Completely bemused, and then it was a little bit murmur first, and then it was a proper cheer, and then it was like well, first of all, it was that the message come through that Kidd had scored, and Walter Kidd played for Hearts at the time as a right back, so there was fuck, Hearts have scored, that's it, bollocks, right? Because we were winning 4 or 5-0 by then, so we'd done the job, and then it was Kidd through that it was Dundee forward Albert Kidd, and there was so I think that was that made it even better for everyone, that and then an incredible euphoria, and then a few minutes later he managed to score a second, and that was, unfortunately for Hearts, that just pummeled them, and they lost the cup final the following week to Aberdeen.
You're talking about, I'll go back to Love Street just now, but I heard a story about Fergie again, when Aberdeen were playing Hearts in that 86 cup final, and it came from John Robertson actually, and Robertson says that Alec MacDonald had told them during the week, forget about it, we're going to win the cup, it'll still be a great season if we win the cup, forget about last week's gone, eh? As they turned up to Hampden, Ferguson had all the Aberdeen team there to meet them, and the Aberdeen team was going, oh, sorry about last week, boys. And Robertson says, we were beat as soon as all the Aberdeen players started talking to us, and then fired last week back into the reeds.
He wasn't bad at psychology. See, that's the thing, that there's loads of people now getting paid a lot of money as actually psychologists in football, but the best psychologists were the pavement psychologists that learned on the pavement. Stein, Shankly, Ferguson, Smith, those types of people that use their own experiences to cajole you and kid you on, and sometimes kick you in the arse when you needed it to get performances, and were masters at it, absolutely brilliant at it, you know.
Frank McGarvey responded to comments about St Mirren selling the jerseys that day by saying that there was no way they would have done that, but the champagne could have been better in the Celtic changing room after the game. Now, after that, Brian, Kevin's going to ask you regarding strengthening. Celtic should have strengthened. They should have strengthened that team and moved on, and obviously into your final season at Celtic.
Well, we should have done it in the January or towards the end, because we had a lead over Rangers, or Graham Souness's Rangers, and they managed to claw it back, or we managed to dick it off, whatever way around you want to look at it. And they should have signed a player then, because that's what normally to give everybody a boost. So Alex Ferguson signs, or through set circumstances, Cantona, and I think we needed a player. Eric wasn't available, so it had to be somebody else to come in, just to give everybody a bit of freshness about it. And the board wouldn't back him, because Davie told us, or tell Danny or tell somebody, so we were aware that, look, and that was obviously a kind of kicking the balls for everybody, because I think all of us had been used to that kind of way that it worked, and if somebody came in to take your place, it was a challenge then for you to step up again to whatever, you know.
We were 5 points clear in January.
Thanks for reminding me.
Davie Hay.
Can we talk about something else?
Davie Hay wanted to sign the boy McLaughlin for Chelsea, though he also wanted to sign Pat Nevin for Chelsea. He wanted to sign Steve Clark for St Mirren, and he also wanted to sign a young guy at Norwich called Steve Bruce.
Well, he's obviously had a good scouting network then, if he was looking to those particular ones. So.
What actually happened is, when we went to the February, we played Aberdeen 3 times in the Scottish Cup, and we ended up playing 5 games in 14 days. Do you think if they boys would have came in, it would have helped us? Definitely?
Yeah, of course, yeah, because they were very good players, and you needed to have a number of players to be able to play those games. It's just unfortunate that, although they were in quite tremendously exciting cup ties against Aberdeen, we had to go and play.
Your contract was running down towards the end of that season. Obviously, Davie Hay left at the end of that season. Were you ever offered another contract? Were you wanting to stay? Or
No, I got offered a contract, but and Davie Hay suspended all negotiations with players, Murdo, Alan McInally, myself, because they made it clear that Morris was the priority, and they were talking to him and his representatives all the time. He was a priority, and that was made perfectly clear. And that was probably another thing that probably it would have affected the team, because quite rightly you wanted to be felt of value. They had made an offer, but it was well short of what, to all of us I think, the similar kind of offer, but it was well short of what Morris's offer was. So it did probably be it caused not so much Davie, because I think that it was down to the board that. And the day that David came to my house, and I still hadn't made up my mind, and he went back to Celtic Park and told them they'd had a good conversation with me, and they sacked him. And Billy McNeill was sitting around the corner. So that's what happened with it. That there was still a good chance, and then I had to chat with Billy and Jack McGinn, and what they'd said wasn't the same as Davie had said. So I felt that wasn't going to suit me. That kind of tipped me to go, you know.
A Celtic State of Mind can be found at Acsom.net. We're sponsored by FansBet, the betting company by fans for fans.